So,
Amen.
Yeah.
Leave the Bible.
oh yeah,
That's what I was hearing.
yeah.
You're presenting it as more binary situations where it's much more nuanced, especially for disability rights activists. For example, a lot of the people I know in my disability rights activists are pro-choice, even though logically they would be considered pro-life, because
That's why the other's up there, by the way, for anything else other than the three mentioned.
I know, it
So
just seems that other can have a myriad of things, if that makes sense. And so I know that you can't put all the categories in, so it's nice you did that. I just thought it would...
My name's Tony, by the way.
Sorry. I just thought it was interesting you chose 4.
And you are?
Haley.
Haley. So,
I thought it was interesting you chose 4 categories instead of like most people presented as
well,
like 2. So
the board's only that big, and I wanted to give as many options as possible. So, Haley, why do you believe it's always justified?
actually, so counterintuitively to what most people might think. The whole thing is that a lot of people on my side interpret pro-lifers as like putting impositions and restrictions on women's bodies and non-binary people's bodies, people with ovaries, okay? So if you can input that kind of control on people's bodies about what they do inside of them, counterintuitively that could lead to things like eugenics, where Brett Conovo actually forced intellectually disabled people to get abortions when they didn't want to. So counterintuitively it could actually lead to worse things. So regardless of whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, you want to avoid you want to prevent the most harm coming to people. So what we're trying to do is not restrict people's bodies to a certain degree and still keep the ability to have life. But to us, life is more like outside of the womb stuff.
When you say to us, life is more like us being who?
Pro-choice people.
Oh, okay. So again, why?
Like a lot of pro-life people to our side almost seem like they care more about like when it's inside the body instead of when it's out. Even though a lot of the situations outside are quite, and I know a lot of people could probably object to that, but I haven't seen a lot of good changes with this current administration, if that makes sense.
All right. So for Haley, though, why is it always justifiable to kill a baby in the womb?
I won't say it's a ball of cells, but the factual term for it would be fetus, if that makes sense.
And
but yes.
and you know what the word fetus means, right? It's Latin for child.
Words change over time, but I'm vaguely aware of that.
Yeah. Okay.
But yes, words and language do change over time, yeah.
Okay. But that being said, though, neither the science nor the medical community would agree with you that it's just a clump of cells. Because if
like it's in that weird area where it seems like the scientific community is almost like in a middle area where they're not decide where it's like it's not a child but it's not a ball of cells.
well,
if that makes sense.
well, for example, if a woman is pregnant, regardless of the stage of her pregnancy, and she is murdered and the baby dies, the person is charged with 2 counts of murder, not 1.
Which never made sense to me.
Oh, sure it does, because that which is growing in the womb is a child.
I mean, again, it seems to be in that. To me, it just seems to be in that in-between spot, if that makes sense.
See, but you know what? Our country did the same thing with slaves by declaring that people of color were less than human or subhuman. We then found ways to justify the slavery and the mistreatment and the subjugation and even the killing of slaves, because we determined that they were less than human.
They're actually outside of another person's body. They're, as far as pro-choice people go, a lot of us kind of tend to think, and this depends on who you talk to people, some people I've known will cite like Jewish texts or biblical texts or something, just like you guys would cite pro-choice life stages and the Bible and stuff. I'm just gonna kind of go with, we almost see it as like once it's out, it's an individual person, because until it's actually out, it's still like dependent on, it's not its own creature because it's still sort of dependent on the mother or something. This is actually, that's the closest I can get to it. There's actually way more complicated things than that.
So how about,
it's weird because,
how about this, Haley?
So it's not like,
Haley, when a child is born, when a child is outside the womb,
so the whole thing with slaves is they're already outside.
Okay, so let's talk about a baby outside the womb then. So is a baby outside the womb independent and can take care of itself?
at that point, it seems like it's more capable of forming thoughts and stuff.
Now you're changing the narrative.
When did I say it was changing the narrative?
I'm saying you're changing the narrative because you said that it's different once the child is outside the womb, because when the child is inside the womb, the child is still dependent upon the mother.
Well, there's different ways of being dependent. I'm specifically talking about
Like what?
Well, my brain thinks more in images, so I'm trying to think. So when the child starts developing outside the womb, it starts to experiment with the world and stuff. It has sapience. Sapience is being able to experiment with the world and use logic and use cost solution
so it's no longer
deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning, even when you're so you have the ability to reason when you're outside the womb, which seems like something you don't have inside of the womb.
Okay, so it's no longer no longer being dependent on the mother. So it's being able to reason.
That's
That's arbitrary.
I think that might have been more what I was saying
Yeah.
first. It's
You
really
understand?
hard. I think more in images, and so
Yeah.
yeah.
So Haley, that's arbitrary.
Thanks for being patient, though.
No problem. That's arbitrary though, because who then decides when the child is able to reason, understand what's going on around his or her life, is no longer dependent upon the mother?
This is actually something disability activists have been trying to solve because...
I'm sorry, who's been trying to solve?
Disability activists.
Oh.
Some of us are still treated as children, even as adults, which is ridiculous. And so we're trying to solve things on that end, too. You're not wrong that reasoning is arbitrary, but I think there's a certain point in development where, you can, a famous experiment is the one where, I'm using experiment for a lack of better words, where, they would put the, animal under a blanket, and there were different ages where when they were a younger age they did not realize that the animal had just been under the blanket. They just thought it disappeared. When they were an older child, they'd realize, oh, my mother just hidden under the blanket. I'm talking about reasoning like that, which usually happens was it 6 months after age? It was pretty early in life.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
So now, Haley, you mentioned disabilities. Are you a person with a disability?
Actually, a lot of the younger generation prefers disabled person, but yes.
Okay, well, because I don't mean to offend.
I understand that.
Okay.
We're just having a lovely discussion.
Yeah, I think so. Does your, as a disabled person, does that fall under a name or a category or a type?
Well, I'm developmentally disabled.
Oh, okay.
Is it
along the autistic spectrum?
Yes.
Is it okay? All right.
Bingo, I'm a neurodiversity activist. Bing, ding, ding! You win $1 million. We all wish.
Okay.
Right?
So should it be okay then for autistic children, if we could determine that a child is autistic in the womb, should it be okay then to end the life of that child in the womb because the child is autistic?
We've been protesting that against disabled people.
So then it wouldn't. So then, if it's wrong with disabled people, then your answer of always justified seems to not be the case.
Yeah, this always seems to be where it gets counterintuitive, because first and foremost, we tend to put, for lack of better words, people on this specific realm, if that makes sense, if I want to put it into better words like that. People on this globe, disabled rights activists tend to get in a corner where we're like, what do we do? A lot of disabled activists that I know happen to be on the pro-choice side, where it's always acceptable because to them women's bodies should be up to the woman to decide what to do with it, if that makes sense.
Right,
I know this
but what
comes
she's
back to the original
what she's deciding to do isn't with her body. What she's deciding to do is to someone else's body.
See, and that's kind of where I think the two sides are differing, is because
Oh, sure.
in real life people think is someone else's, whereas pro-choice people think it's their own body. It's not someone else's body.
Well,
it's inside of you.
Haley, do you believe that we as people can do whatever we want with our bodies?
My general tendency is as long as it doesn't get in the way of someone else, it's fine. But again, that seems to be where we seem to differ. What counts as someone else, you know?
Because the
science tends to be contradictory. Because I hear a lot of different things. So until there can be the definitive scientific point, is that to me?
Okay,
it's like there has to be the definitive scientific point, which I can't see. But until there's a definitive scientific point saying this is it, I have to say, well, if that makes sense, it should be acceptable.
Well,
I don't like the eugenics that comes with it, but it's still the woman's body. The best I can do is educate people.
Yeah, but if you're educating people that the baby is the woman's body, then you're not educating them rightly. Because the baby has his or her own DNA, has his or her own blood type, has his or her own. I'm sorry.
I meant about autism. But
okay. See, it fascinates me that someone who identifies as someone with a learning disability would be in favor of abortion wholesale.
It's not too uncommon, and disabled people are just as varied as anyone else.
Yeah, okay, all right.
There are disabled people who
because you're arguing for your own abortion. You're arguing for the end of your own life. Do you know where that comes from, Haley? Ultimately, that way of thinking.
Internalized ableism, internalized misogyny. There's a lot of things
it comes from a sinful heart. It comes from a sinful heart. You and I were created in the image of God. God has given us a conscience. You and I both know the difference between right and wrong. But you're suppressing that truth by your unrighteousness, and you're allowing for the genocide of people with disabilities. That comes from a sinful heart. That's where that comes from.
When did I ever decide? Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
Maybe this is just to your own beliefs, but
okay.
How can you say one is sinful if we're sticking true to their own beliefs? If that makes sense. I can't say you're sinful because because to me sin is, at least to me, giving up your own beliefs.
Sin is actually a violation of God's law, the law that He's written on our heart. You and I know it's wrong to lie. We know it's wrong to steal. No, actually, you're not. I know you would assert that, but the God who created you in His Word has said that you're not agnostic. That you know He exists. You simply suppress that truth by your unrighteousness. And
wouldn't that be an abusive term called gaslighting?
Nope. Where are you going? All right. See you later, Haley. Hi.